My name is Christal Ziegler. I'm an adoption specialist. I grew up in a very normal family. My mother was a school teacher, and I had a younger sister that was 2.5 years younger than me. When I was 5 years old, I was molested by a babysitter and didn't tell my mom what happened until after he had moved away. So when I did tell her, she said, well, there's nothing we can do about it. She never told my father. I told my father when I was 35 years old. And I know that probably in her own life there was brokenness and unresolved issues with her own childhood, but it affected our relationship and how she saw me and how I felt about what had happened to me, and I carried that shame. When I was 16, my mom passed away from lung cancer. And so we never really resolved that. And so I held on to that, and my father remarried 9 months later. So I had a whole nother new family. And I remember standing there at 16 years old, wondering how my life had turned so upside down. There were all these new people in my home that I didn't know. I had 2 new brothers and a new sister and a new stepmom that I barely knew. This was my life. And so God, He shaped my heart for children that had experienced that, for children that didn't have mom and dads or had lives that were turned upside down and walked into a strange home wondering how they got there. I went into counseling, and then God brought me into being a family specialist and adoption specialist. And I was able to be in the stories of other children finding homes and seeing how God could heal trauma and hurt and not only change that child's story, but change that family's story. And I love Jason Johnson's quote. He says, "I knew your story, I accept your story, let's write a new story together." And that's what I think so much is about what is happening through foster care and adoption, is that a new story is being written together. Dr. Tracy told me that they were going to be writing a curriculum for foster children, and then they said they were going to pilot this vulnerable child curriculum. I looked at him and I said, that is my heart. What you were talking about right now is my heart. And I was super excited because it was a dual healing system. And so many times what I see in foster care, the reasons homes don't work out is because adults don't realize that they haven't dealt with things themselves. And when you bring a foster child into your home, you bring a mirror in front of your face. And whatever a child has experienced, if you've experienced it, it's 10 times bigger. And it's like you're looking in a mirror. And a lot of times, adults realize that they can't help that child walk through something because they're now stuck in the middle of what they never dealt with. And so I was super excited about this dual healing system. I was also excited about the bridge for communication, because what this curriculum does is give the adult and the child an ability to communicate. And I believe that if I would have had this curriculum with my mom, that she didn't have the words to express how to talk about that. She didn't know how to address that. So her way of addressing that was to pretend like it didn't happen, which allowed me to carry a lot of shame that I did something wrong, or that this was something, that I had to carry. And when you have an open line of communication, all these open bridges open up about communicating, and words, ways of expressing what they may not have been able to express open up. And they can also understand that it's not their fault. And that is huge, a huge, huge catalyst to healing, is understanding I didn't do this. This isn't anything that I did to make this happen. It's not my fault. But what I can do with it is super powerful, because I can change how I see myself, I can change how I see the situation, and I can change how I use that to change my life. And I believe that God allowed me to take what was my past and what was my story, and He's allowed me to use that to be a catalyst to help change that. And I think that the Vulnerable Child curriculum is that. It's a catalyst to help change that. It's to help to change the story that a child has had written for their life.